Look around you, at the corporate world, at political power, at history's most influential figures. You'll see a pattern that's hard to ignore. It's not always the kind, honest, or morally upright who climb to the top. Far too often, it's the ruthless, those who lie without flinching, manipulate without guilt, and trample over anything or anyone that stands in their way. And while we want to believe the world rewards integrity, fairness, and hard work, reality tells a different story. The truth is bitter but clear. The world often favors the bold, not the good. The system isn't broken. It was designed this way. In a competitive world, hesitation is weakness. Waiting for fairness is a gamble most people lose. Power is not handed to those who deserve it. It's seized by those willing to take it. While the moral, decent people wait for recognition, the ruthless act, and they win. This doesn't mean we should abandon our values, but it does mean we must stop pretending that goodness alone is enough. Morality, if not paired with strength and strategy, becomes a burden, not a virtue. And until we accept that, we'll continue watching the undeserving rise while the ethical are left behind. It's painful to admit, but if you want to succeed without losing yourself, you must first understand how power truly works. Because power doesn't respond to intentions. It responds to movement, courage, and the willingness to act, even when the path is uncomfortable. That's the reality. And the longer you deny it, the more you hand over your future to those who don't deserve it, but took it anyway. We grow up hearing that morality is strength, that kindness, fairness, and compassion are virtues that will guide us to success. But then life happens. And suddenly, you realize that playing fair doesn't always get you ahead. In fact, it often gets you left behind. While you hold back out of principle, others push forward without hesitation. While you worry about being fair, they're already closing the deal, taking the credit, claiming the position. And it shakes you. You start asking, is morality a strength or a liability in a world built on competition? In harsh reality, the answer is not so simple. Morality without power becomes powerless. Kindness without courage becomes invisibility. Fairness without strategic thinking becomes naivety. The world doesn't slow down for good intentions. It rewards those who can combine values with decisiveness, and punishes those who cling to virtue without understanding how power moves. This doesn't mean you should abandon your principles, but it does mean you need more than just virtue to survive. You need strength. Because in a world where ambition runs faster than ethics, those who wait for justice often find themselves waiting forever. And while you hesitate out of conscience, someone else, less honest, less deserving, takes everything you were hoping life would simply hand you. That's the brutal reality. Morality alone is not enough. If you want to lead, if you want to rise, if you want to shape your life instead of watching it pass you by, then you need more than a good heart. You need a sharp mind, a strong spine, and the will to act before the world leaves you behind. It's one of the most uncomfortable truths about the world, and yet one of the most undeniable. The people who rise to the top are not always the most honest, the most fair, or the most hardworking. Often, it's the ones who are ruthless, unapologetically bold, and willing to do what others won't. Look around. In politics, in business, in history, the pattern repeats itself. The manipulative, the calculating, the ones who play to win, they rise. And you're left wondering, how? Why? We're taught that goodness is rewarded, that playing fair leads to success. But in the real world, that ideal rarely holds true. The system doesn't reward morality. It rewards strategy, aggression, and timing. Those who hesitate, out of conscience, fear, or a belief in fairness, often get crushed by those who act first and ask questions later. This isn't just coincidence. It's a reflection of how the world actually works. In high-stakes environments, power is not given to the deserving. It's seized by the decisive. And while those with kind hearts wait patiently for their turn, the ruthless rewrite the rules. This doesn't mean morality has no place, but it means morality without strength is not enough. A good person without power is easily overlooked. A moral person without boldness is easily ignored. The truth is hard to swallow, but essential to understand. If you're not willing to act, to step forward, to fight for your place, someone else will. And they might not have your integrity, but they will have your opportunity. Power doesn't respond to virtue. It responds to movement. And if you don't learn how to move strategically, the world will move right past you. We're raised to believe that morality is a virtue, that if we play fair, stay honest, and treat others with kindness, success will eventually follow. It's a beautiful idea, but in the real world, it often becomes a painful illusion. Because out here, in the arena of life, where ambition, timing, and boldness shape outcomes, morality can sometimes become a weight rather than a weapon. While you pause to consider what's fair, someone else is already making their move. While you hesitate to speak up out of politeness, another voice takes your place in the room. And while you stay rooted in principle, others rise, not because they are better, but because they're willing to do what you aren't. It doesn't mean morality is useless, but morality without power, without strategy, without courage, is often invisible. In a world that favors the bold, kindness can be mistaken for weakness, and fairness can be exploited by those who see life as a game to be won, not a code to be followed. The truth is uncomfortable. The more you assume that goodness alone will guide you to the top, the more likely you are to be left behind. Because the world does not operate on idealism. It moves through influence, leverage, and action. To thrive, you must learn to pair integrity with intensity. You don't need to abandon your values, but you do need to sharpen them into tools of action. Because if you don't step forward with purpose, others will step over you without remorse. And your morality, no matter how noble, will go unseen, not because it wasn't right, but because it wasn't strong enough to be heard. What if morality wasn't a universal truth, but a product of power struggles, created not by virtue, but by necessity? That's the uncomfortable idea Nietzsche forced the world to confront. He saw morality not as a divine code, but as a psychological adaptation, a set of values shaped by those who either wield power or live without it. He called them master morality and slave morality, two fundamentally different ways of seeing the world. Master morality is bold. It celebrates strength, courage, ambition, creation, and dominance. It is the morality of leaders, those who define their own worth, shape reality to their will, and do not seek permission to exist. These people don't wait to be told they're good. They decide it for themselves. But slave morality, that's the morality of the powerless, the morality of those who cannot fight back. It glorifies humility, obedience, guilt, and self-sacrifice. Not because they are inherently virtuous, but because they are survival mechanisms. It teaches you to feel shame for wanting power and to call weakness a virtue. But here's the brutal truth. Slave morality doesn't stop the ruthless. It empowers them. It tells the strong to feel guilty for their strength, while the truly heartless rise without apology. And so, the kind-hearted remain paralyzed by virtue, while the bold reshape the world. If you want to live with purpose, to rise without losing yourself, you must stop inheriting morality blindly. You must ask, whose values are you living by, the creator or the captive? Because if you don't define your morality, someone else already has. And it may not have been written to help you rise, but to keep you small. It's unsettling to admit, but ruthlessness isn't just a personality flaw. It's an evolutionary edge. In a world that rewards bold action over quiet virtue, ruthlessness becomes a survival tool, not a defect. Those who rise, in politics, in business, in power, often share traits that traditional morality condemns: ambition without apology, fearlessness in conflict, and a reduced sensitivity to guilt or empathy when it interferes with their goals. But this isn't a coincidence. It's adaptation. In nature, the predator thrives not because it's kind, but because it's effective. The lion doesn't ask for permission before it hunts. The storm doesn't apologize before it breaks. Nature does not reward morality. It rewards dominance, speed, decisiveness, and strength. Human society, beneath its polite veneer, operates on the same primal rules. The powerful succeed not by chance, but because they're wired to take what they want, while others hesitate, reflect, or self-sabotage in the name of goodness. This doesn't mean everyone who succeeds is evil. It means that many who succeed have learned to act without being paralyzed by guilt, self-doubt, or the need for approval. And that's what separates winners from bystanders. Those who rise aren't always cruel, but they are clear. Clear about what they want, clear about what they are willing to do, and clear about what they won't allow to stop them. Until you develop that clarity, that inner strength to act despite discomfort, you'll keep watching others dominate the space you were meant to own. The world is not built for the hesitant, it's built for the bold. And unless you learn to tap into that primal edge within you, you'll always be reacting while someone else is leading. From the moment we're old enough to understand right from wrong, we're told the world is fair, that good people are rewarded, that hard work pays off, that justice always wins in the end. It's comforting, even beautiful. But step into the real world and you feel the fracture. You see good people overlooked, kind hearts broken, honest workers stuck while liars climb. And deep down, something inside you begins to ache because the world isn't what you were promised. Fairness, as we've been taught, isn't a natural law. It's a social story, a myth built to keep people hopeful, obedient, and calm. But life doesn't follow moral scripts. It follows momentum, strategy, timing, and often power. That doesn't mean fairness doesn't matter. It means it isn't guaranteed. Believing that the world will treat you justly because you've done the right thing is one of the most dangerous lies we inherit. It leads to passivity, resentment, and a lifetime of waiting for recognition that may never come. The truth is hard but freeing. If you want justice, you have to create it. If you want success, you have to fight for it. Not by abandoning your values, but by realizing that fairness is not automatic. It is earned through strength, vision, and action. Those who rise understand this early. They don't sit quietly, hoping the world will be kind. They move with purpose, with courage, and with eyes wide open, because while others wait for a fairy tale, the bold rewrite the ending. So ask yourself honestly, are you still hoping for the world to be fair? Or are you ready to shape it into something better with your own hands? One of the most comforting lies we tell ourselves is this: good things happen to good people, and bad things happen to those who deserve it. It's called the just world fallacy, and it's one of the most dangerous illusions you can carry into adulthood. We cling to it because it makes life feel ordered, predictable, as if morality alone can protect us from suffering and secure our success. But life doesn't work that way. The world is not just. It's complex, chaotic, and often indifferent. You've seen it. The kindest people getting hurt, the hardest workers overlooked, the most honest voices silenced. And yet people still whisper, they must have done something wrong. Because it's easier to believe that than to face the truth, that injustice is real and virtue doesn't always win. The just world fallacy teaches you to wait passively, to believe that karma will reward you if you just stay good. But while you wait, others are already moving, not because they're better, but because they understand how the game works. Success doesn't favor those who hope. It favors those who act. Justice is not a cosmic guarantee. It's something that must be created, defended, fought for. The more you believe the world will take care of you because you're good, the more life will disappoint you. But if you let go of that illusion, not your values, just the myth, you'll start seeing clearly. And you'll stop waiting for the world to treat you fairly. Because you'll finally be ready to take what you've earned. Not through entitlement, but through courage, clarity, and relentless action. In a world drowning in conformity, fear, and borrowed beliefs, Nietzsche offered a radical vision. The Übermensch, the overman. Not a tyrant, not a brute, but a human being who rises beyond mediocrity, beyond inherited morality, beyond the limitations imposed by society. The Übermensch does not beg for approval. They do not ask permission to live boldly. They don't wait for life to be fair. They create meaning from within, forging their own path with strength, vision, and unapologetic purpose. While most people are shackled by fear, guilt, and the illusion of righteousness, the Übermensch breaks free. They are not defined by rules written by the weak. They write their own code. This isn't about cruelty. It's about transcendence. The Übermensch doesn't dominate others to feel powerful. They master themselves. They do not seek comfort. They seek growth. They are builders, creators, visionaries, not victims of circumstance. And in a world where most settle for survival, they choose to rise. But here's the truth. Becoming the Übermensch isn't easy. It takes brutal self-honesty. It takes courage to walk away from the safety of the herd and face the unknown alone. It takes strength to reject a life of quiet obedience and forge one of intentional greatness. But for those who dare, life becomes more than existence. It becomes art, power, legacy. So ask yourself, are you living by someone else's values? Or are you becoming the architect of your own destiny? Because the path of the Übermensch isn't for everyone. But it is the only path for those who refuse to live small. Those who are ready to rise, not just above others, but above who they used to be. Not all power is created equal, and not all who rise to power are worthy of it. There's a crucial difference between mindless ruthlessness and controlled strength. Between those who dominate out of insecurity and those who lead from grounded power. The world is full of tyrants, manipulators, and hollow conquerors who mistake cruelty for leadership. They rise quickly, fueled by fear and force. But they fall just as fast, consumed by the very chaos they created. Because power without purpose is a ticking time bomb, and dominance without wisdom eventually self-destructs. But then, there is another kind of power, deeper, quieter, far more enduring, the kind that doesn't need to shout, the kind that doesn't manipulate or crush others just to feel superior. It's controlled power, the strength of someone who knows who they are, what they stand for, and when to act with unwavering clarity. This kind of power isn't driven by ego. It's driven by vision. It doesn't seek control for control's sake. It seeks creation, transformation, impact. The true leader isn't the loudest in the room. They're the one who can make the hardest decisions without losing their soul. The one who can walk away from what no longer serves them without guilt. The one who chooses courage over cruelty and discipline over chaos. The ruthless rise fast, but the wise rise higher. And they stay. Because when power is earned through self-mastery, not exploitation, it becomes a force that builds instead of breaks. And in a world desperate for strength, it's not the reckless we need, it's the disciplined. It's the ones who know how to hold power without being owned by it. Most people believe they have only two options in this world: be ruthless or be a victim. Either crush others to get ahead or stand still and get crushed. But this is a false choice, a dangerous myth that keeps the good-hearted afraid to rise and the power-hungry drunk on dominance. The truth is, there's a third path, and it's the most powerful of all: strategic integrity. The ability to lead with values, but not be blinded by them. The strength to compete without losing your soul. You don't have to become heartless to survive, but you do have to be sharp, grounded, and unapologetically aware of how the world works. Integrity is not passivity. Morality is not weakness. But when goodness is not paired with strength and strategy, it becomes invisible, even irrelevant. The people who thrive in this world are not just kind. They are calculated, resilient, and fearless when it matters most. They know how to read a room, how to sense danger, how to protect their values without being naive. They don't expect fairness. They create it. They don't beg for opportunity. They build it. The greatest mistake you can make is believing that purity alone will protect you. It won't. The world rewards those who can move with clarity, act with intention, and stand firm when others fold. So no, you don't have to become ruthless, but you do have to become powerful, not through manipulation, but through mastery. Strategic integrity isn't weakness in disguise. It's the highest form of strength. It's the discipline to hold your values in one hand and a sword in the other. We've been taught to fear power, to associate it with corruption, cruelty, and control. And yes, history has shown us what happens when power is abused. But let's be honest, power isn't the enemy. It's a mirror. It reveals the truth of who you are when no one can stop you. In the hands of the insecure, power becomes oppression. In the hands of the wise, it becomes creation. Power, in its purest form, is not about crushing others. It's about mastering yourself. It's about rising above your limitations, not stepping on others to feel taller. Nietzsche never said power was evil. He said it was misunderstood, a force that can either destroy or elevate, depending on who wields it and why. The problem isn't power. The problem is what weak people do with it. And yet, we run from it. We convince ourselves that wanting power is wrong. But here's the truth. If you don't claim your power, someone else will. And they may not use it wisely. The world doesn't need more people who fear power. It needs people who know how to use it with purpose, clarity, and courage. Power is the tool that allows you to defend your values, build your vision, protect your family, shape your future. Without it, you're at the mercy of those who have it. So stop apologizing for wanting to be strong. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Stand tall. Because power isn't evil. It's the fire that fuels change. The only question is, will you let it consume you? Or will you learn to master it? In a world that often rewards noise over virtue, one truth becomes clear. Strength without purpose is chaos. But virtue without strength is silence. If you want to make an impact, you need more than good intentions. You need power, clarity, and courage. Life isn't fair by default. The system doesn't always reward those who wait patiently and play nice. It rewards those who understand how the game is played and play it with both intelligence and integrity. That doesn't mean you have to betray your values. It means you have to sharpen them into tools, not just beliefs. Be kind, but be strategic. Be moral, but be bold. Power isn't evil. It's a responsibility. And if you learn to master it with discipline, purpose, and self-awareness, you don't just protect your values, you amplify them. The world doesn't need more passive goodness. It needs powerful goodness. So stop shrinking to stay safe. Stand tall, speak with strength, move with intention. Because the future doesn't belong to those who wait for fairness. It belongs to those who build it.